All right, good evening. Now I'd like to bring the regular evening meeting of Township of Langley Council to order. And the first item on the agenda is the adoption and receipt of the agenda items. Can I have a motion, please? Councillor Fox, second by Councillor Arneson. All those in favor? Opposed and carried. Next item is adoption of the minutes of the regular evening council meeting of March the 6th. Can I have a motion, please? A motion, Councillor Fox, and seconder, Councillor Long. Any errors or omissions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed and carried. There are no presentations, and we move directly to delegations, and we have with us Zosha Ettenberg from the Langley Volunteers. And maybe there we go.
She wants to retire.
Yeah, well, we all do. Yeah. Oh, let me get your mic on.
Council,
There you go.
can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah. Thanks. I just got it on. Yeah. No problem. You don't need it close. It'll pick up really easy.
Thank you very much. Pardon? Thank you very much. It's such a pleasure to be here, and we're so excited to come and present the Langley Volunteers to the council. I'd like to start with a little bit of history. The Greater Langley Chamber of Commerce provided educational opportunities to nonprofit organizations, and these opportunities were sponsored by Envision Financial Services. And during that time, the Chamber Nonprofit Subcommittee was directed from the Chamber Board to form a task force to find out if there really was a need for a volunteer center in Langley, because all the nonprofits were saying, we need this, we need this, we need this. So an initial meeting was held in January 2016, in which Volinspire attended and spoke about the services that they offered. After that meeting, the task force reached out to all the NPOs requesting representatives that would be interested in joining the task force to determine the need, and if so, what the volunteer bureau would look like, and where the funding would come from, and the manner of governance. Envision Financial Services became very involved in Volinspire, which is a huge asset in tracking volunteer hours and promoting volunteer opportunities. Envision also provided us with a meeting space and assisted us with the development of our logo and initial website. Who are we? In September 2016, we decided to move forwards and form the Langley Volunteer Bureau, doing business as Langley Volunteers. Because the Society Act was changing, we chose to launch as soon as the Act was proclaimed as one of the first societies to apply under the new Act, and officially became a society on November 29th, 2016. The current board of directors are Sylvia Anderson, Debbie Dalton, myself, Zosha Ettenberg, Karen Long, Osden Penkoinchu, Barb Wallach, and Jesse Xie. Our mission is we strive to provide fully qualified volunteers from day one. All potential volunteers are interviewed and encouraged to submit a criminal record check. I'd like to talk a little bit about Volinspire. The volunteers are also encouraged to register with Volinspire so they can track their hours for themselves and for the society that they are volunteering for. This information is invaluable when the NPOs apply for grants and for fundings. Volunteer hours are valued at $20 per hour, and charitable organizations can use this as an estimate to quantify the enormous value that volunteers provide. And if I may just put an aside in here, one thing I've noticed since I've lived in Langley since 1985, Langley is one of the most volunteer-orientated communities that I have ever lived in and worked in. And it just amazes me where people come and help us out all along the way. So why are we here tonight? We would like to invite the Mayor and Council to our meet and greet on Saturday, April 22nd from 1 to 4. I believe you have posters in front of you. And the purpose of that is to have nonprofit organizations or people looking for volunteers and volunteers meet in a trade show-like atmosphere to be able to sign up already and that sort of thing, and to launch Langley Volunteers so people know where to go. And we're also looking forward to working with the township to address the volunteer needs of our community. And I believe we have this is for the audience here. This is our meet and greet poster.
The reason we have the city of Langley in there.
And, pardon?
The reason we have the logo of the city on there?
Yeah, well, the city of Langley also have already given us our community grant, which we hope that the township will also do, and so that we can work well with both. And and next slide, please. National Volunteer Week is the week of April 23rd to 29th. So we would like to invite everybody to take the 150 challenge, volunteer 150 hours in 2017, and submit your volunteer photos. We will put them on our website. And that's one of the reasons why we're doing the launch on the 22nd, the day before Volunteer Week starts. And finally, the importance of partnerships. Our goal is to develop partnerships within the community, with businesses, with nonprofit societies, with the township, with the city, and to be able to work with all possibilities. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for that, and appreciate what you're doing. And I can announce that your grant was approved at today's afternoon council meeting.
Oh,
So
that's
there you go. So you
exciting.
get that logo on there before you leave.
Your logo will be on.
Okay.
On the website already.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. All right. I've got a couple of questions from council. So, Councillor Fox.
Thank you very much, and thanks for coming tonight and sharing your this initiative. I wanted to ask about this website you have, Volinspire. Is this created by you?
No, Volinspire was created by a group of people initially in Kelowna. And they started in Kelowna. It was launched in December. Envision has been supporting this, and they brought it to the Langley Chamber of Commerce for us to look at it to see if it would be something that we would want to do instead of forming a bureau like we have. And in looking at the options and how our community works, it was felt by all the task force that Volinspire shouldn't exist on its own here, but we should use the services that they offer, and that we should have our own bureau because we know our community best.
So a person wants to volunteer, then they go to info@langleyvolunteers.ca.
That's right.
So organization XYZ requests to volunteer. They say, okay, this individual, it's something they're interested in, and then that individual, let's say, works 2 hours. So then they go to Volinspire, they register on Volinspire, and they put 2 hours working at Bike Exchange at Langley Event Center or such.
Exactly. And then Bike Exchange are also members of Volinspire. And they then can go on and track all the hours of all the volunteers that have been doing volunteer work for them. And that's enormous because I found my experience over the years, if you have to give paper hours, it just does not get done. And it's very, very hard then for a society to really say, look, this is how many people in the community are participating, even when we're filling out our community grant application.
You read my mind. That's
Yes.
where I was going, is because this could be a big part of our community grants process.
Of course.
But
yeah.
I think that the other message is it's very important for organizations to register for Volunspire so that we get the full landscape of how much volunteering does go on in our community. And
Exactly.
yeah,
Thank
I
you.
think of all the bike races and marathons and all the other activities, I mean, that go on. Thank you. Thanks for that.
Councillor Arneson.
Yes, thank you very much for coming. I had the pleasure to be part of some of those initial meetings, so I know from the ground up all the work that you've done to put this together. And when I looked at the Volunspire model, I thought how wonderful it was that it's so efficient and it's so easy to use, and that it generates a kind of information that's very helpful, not just to overall assessment of volunteerism, but to the individual that's actually using that, because it was just really apparent that people like students or other individuals who are trying to gain experience, it's very helpful for them to have this to add to their resume, to say, I've done this kind of work, and it really tabulates and everything in a very easy manner. I liken it to kind of a big Facebook page, but then there's also the aspect of, serious considerations about vetting people, making sure appropriate individuals are taken into your volunteer group, etc. So it really is quite a beautiful model that way. So thank you very much for doing this.
If I might add one more question, one more thing about Volunspire, it's also they encourage businesses to register, and it's also a way for business who are asking their employees or suggesting to their employees that they go and volunteer in the community. It's also a way for them to see that yes, they are, and rewarding their employees accordingly.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for your presentation, and wish you all the success. Thank you. Okay, so that's all of our delegations. We'll now move on to, thank you. Now move on to bylaws for first and second reading. And F1 is official community plan amendment and rezoning application number 100132 and development permit application numbers 100808, 100822, and 100843. This is Vesta Properties Limited, lands between 82 and 84 Avenue from 202 to 203 Street. Development variance permit application number 100084 and bylaw number 5267 and bylaw number 5268. I can take a breath. Motion. Councillor Fox, second. Councillor Whitmarsh, any discussion on the first and second reading? Seeing none, I'll call the question. And that carries with Councillor Richter and Arneson opposed. Now move over to bylaws for first, second, and third reading, and G1 is the 2017 Local Area Service Tax Bylaw, bylaw number 5270, and bylaw number 5271. Could I have a motion, please? Councillor Arneson, second. Councillor Davis, any discussion on those? Councillor Arneson.
Yes, thank you, Worship. Through you to staff. And just as this clarification, I wondered about the commuted cost of this payment. Is that registered at the land title office in case the land changes hands prior to the payout of this amount?
Actually, I believe it's actually registered as part of the tax roll, so it doesn't appear in the land title office as a separate covenant. It's part of our processes for putting it on the taxes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question on G1. That carries unanimously. And G2 is Langley Fees and Charges Bylaw Amendment, bylaw number 5273. Could I have a motion, please? Councillor Qualley, second by Councillor Davis. Any discussion on G2? Seeing none, I'll call the question on G2. And that carries unanimously. And move on to G3, and this is Fort Langley BIA enactment, bylaw number 5272. Could I have a motion, please? Councillor Fox, and second by Councillor Whitmarsh. Discussion on G3. Seeing none, I'll call the question. And that carries unanimously. And move on to bylaws for final adoption. And I-1 is rezoning application number 395. Development permit application number 100728, bylaw number 5015. So would first move on to the bylaws. Could I have a motion on that? This is I-1. This is we're going to go to the rezoning application 100395, bylaw number 5015. Councillor Fox, seconder. Can I have a second, please? Councillor Whitmarsh, discussion. Councillor Fox.
Yeah, just a quick, maybe through you to Mr. Bakken. The northern sector of this is 72nd Avenue. Refresh my memory, is that part of 72nd Avenue finished, or will this, as part of this, finish that section? Because 72nd kind of on the south side jogs back and forth a bit.
Through your words for Councillor Fox, the portion of 72nd will be completed with this application.
Thank you very much. I'm sure the residents will be happy.
Thank you. Okay, I see no further discussion. I'll call a question on the bylaw on I-1. That carries with Councillor Arneson opposed. And now a motion on the development permit number 100728. Councillor Fox, seconded by Councillor Long. And discussion on the development permit. Seeing none, I'll call the question. And that carries with Councillor Richter and Councillor Arneson opposed. And now we move on to I-2, and that's rezoning application number 100443, development permit application 100804, and bylaw number 5220. So on the bylaw, motion please. Councillor Fox, seconded by Councillor Qualley. Discussion on I-2. Seeing none, call the question. And that carries with Councillor Richter, Councillor Arneson, Councillor Davis opposed. And now on the development permit, where are we? Development permit number 100804 motion. Councillor Fox, seconder. Councillor, was it Long or Sparrow? Councillor Sparrow seconds. Discussion. Seeing none, call a question on development permit. And that carries with Councillor Richter, Councillor Arneson, Councillor Davis opposed. So now we move on to the mayor's report. All right. And welcome here, everyone, tonight. It's been a nice spring break. We've had a bit of a break, so hope everyone enjoyed it. I'm sure those with children had to juggle schedules and children and all the rest of it, but I certainly had a good time with my grandsons and my granddaughter. On Thursday, March 9th, I had the opportunity to visit the grade 5 class at Langley Christian Elementary School. They're learning about civics this year, and I was pleased to meet with them and answer questions. They provided me with a great big thank you card. I don't get these every day, but there are some fans out there, and it's a very nice card signed by everybody in the class. So kind of nice. And they've already had the member of parliament at the class, and they were getting the MLAs in. So learning about government. On Friday, March 10th, was the Langley Hospice Society funding announcement, and this is a pretty exciting announcement. The new hospice in Langley will soon provide comfort and care to people who are in the last weeks of 2 months of life, with funding announced for the new 15-bed hospice residence. And it's funded through the Hospice Foundation, the provincial government, and Fraser Health. So certainly be well needed and well used. I'm sure our community needs these things, and looking forward to it. On Friday morning, I also dropped by the Langley Regional Airport to see the Sopwith pups get ready for the departure to France. The volunteers were all on hand to ensure the safe voyage of these 2 replicas, which will be flown and displayed at Vimy this April. So when we were there, you can see the one on the left. They're just taking them apart to load on the truck to get over to Comox, and they got loaded into a great big transport, Air Force transport plane, along with 4 Newports, 1 SE5, 4 Newports from Comox, and SE5 and the 2 Sopwith pups from our own museum. So they're already in France, getting ready to be on display for the 100th anniversary of the Battle of Vimy Ridge. On Saturday, March 11th, was the open house for Diamond Bar Equipment in Aldergrove, and I was pleased to stop by and take a tour of the store with Bruce Heslop, and I think Councillor Fox had spent a lot of money there just before I got there, I understand.
My wife is not very happy.
Oh, well, but she'll be happy when you get the lawn cut in like 15 minutes with that huge lawnmower you bought. Yeah. So.
I'm sorry it wasn't a John Deere, Councillor
No.
Davis, it was a Husqvarna.
But Bruce was ready to close the doors because he made his sales for the day, I think, after you left. So. On Saturday evening was the BC High School Boys 4A Basketball Championships at the Langley Event Center. The Walnut Grove Gators outscored the Kelowna Owls 20-8 in the fourth quarter, winning the championship. So that was the score in the fourth quarter. I think they won by 12 points. So they had to come from behind a couple times. A very exciting game. The Credo Christian Kodiaks won the Senior Girls 1A Basketball Championships in Duncan, BC on March 14th. And congratulations to both teams. So 2 championship teams from Langley. It's good to see. On Monday, March 13th, was the Langley Environmental Partners Society fundraiser at the Match Restaurant. On Tuesday, March 14th, I attended the Provincial Masters Curling Championships opening ceremonies at the Cloverdale Arena. This is the BCI-MCA, whatever that all means, Provincial Masters Curling Championships that took place from March 14 to 18. There are 32 teams in 4 categories, 60-plus men, women, and mixed, and 70-plus men. And these teams were from Vancouver Island, the Lower Mainland, and the interior, and it was hosted by both the Langley Curling Club and the Cloverdale Curling Club. And this one picture on the right, you see the fellow standing with the broom. They're going to throw the ceremony rock. I think he was 95 years old. But he did say if he got down to throw the rock, he might not get back up again. But he's out there, so it was pretty good. Pretty good to see. On Saturday, March 18th, was a very well-attended memorial service for former Mayor of Abbotsford, George Ferguson. George was the mayor for 33 years, an amazing public servant, husband, and father. And sorry to see him go. He was 91 years old. On Saturday evening, I participated in presenting some of the Vancouver Giants hockey players with awards during the last home game, and I gave the most sportsmanship award going to James Malm, who is from Langley. So nice to see these young people and what they're doing. On Monday, March 20th, Township Council hosted dinner with the Catesy First Nation. It was great to sit down and hear the history of the Catesy and meet their council. And the picture was taken before you got there. You got to be on time to these things because the photographer left. So, anyways, we had a great meeting. Sorry, we'll Photoshop you in. How's that? I think. On Tuesday, March 21st, was the annual Greater Langley Chamber of Commerce panel discussion. The panel consisted of Langley City Mayor Ted Schaefer, Minister Mary Pollock, Minister Rich Coleman, and myself. And topics of discussion included homelessness and infrastructure, among other things. Nice, the annual get-together. On Thursday, March 23rd, I attended the Railway Emergency Training Exercise in Port Coquitlam to observe. The safety is a core foundation at Canadian Pacific, and CP has been the industry leader in safety for more than a decade and had its best safety performance in corporate history in 2016. Critical to its safety culture is ongoing training for employees and first responders in the communities where they operate. So here we have this picture on the right is their command center, which they can tow to different, if there's an event or get it in there. There's also was a picture, and it didn't come up, on a fire suppression unit. It's not like it's like a fire truck on a trailer. It had a pump and had a big bladder. They could put water in a foam, and they said if it burns up, it's a lot cheaper than one of our big $1 million fire units. So certainly they're there to respond, and their average response time to an incident anywhere in Canada is 6 hours, and that's to any remote, it's remote places. So they're there to help us, and they had a lot of firefighters there that were taking part in the training. On Thursday evening, I attended the new Live Well Exercise Clinic, which is just across the parking lot from here. They're just next door, and this fitness clinic specializes in supervised exercise and healthy lifestyle coaching for people with chronic health conditions. And great people. It looks like a fantastic program that they have just next door. On Friday, March 24th, I attended the 51st Annual Prayer Breakfast in Vancouver. This annual event is well attended, and the guest speaker this year is Dr. Santa J. Ono, a professor and 15th President and Vice Chancellor of the University of British Columbia. And a very interesting speaker, very well attended. I think it was over 900 people there. And it was great to go there and listen to him. On Friday afternoon, Fraser Health hosted an information session on the high number of overdoses in Langley. This session was very informative, and I was pleased to attend. With the current overdose crisis and response in Langley, the purpose of the meeting was to determine how we can better coordinate our efforts across the community and enhance our effectiveness. The hope is that this will lead to a more structured approach and regular collaboration between health agencies in all aspects of overdose prevention and response. This overdose has reached a crisis. Statistics of people who have been dying from fentanyl and these overdoses is at an all-time high, and it's really brought to bear the importance of everybody working together and in all aspects of prevention, of enforcement, of education and treatment and reacting. And one of the things that really came out of that was the the naloxone kits that have gone out have saved a lot of lives, and that's really been a response to this crisis, but we need to do more. This was the first meeting, and hopefully this will carry on to get some solutions and some action plans to at least help alleviate this problem. Also on Friday afternoon, on behalf of the Ministry of Health and Minister Terry Lake, Honourable Rich Coleman and Honourable Mary Pollock announced the provincial funding for a new emergency ward at the Langley Memorial Hospital. There will be $39 million in funding this project, and this is, again, we all know our hospital, and certainly much needed to build a brand new state-of-the-art emergency ward, and the old emergency ward, once this is built, will be repurposed for something else. So with that, that's my report, and at this point, I'll open up to any members of council with something to say. Councillor Sparrow.
Yes, I think there's should be some photos.
Okay.
There we go. On March 6th, Monday, March 6th, I attended in Victoria at the Fallen Firefighters Memorial, where we had 2 Langley Township residents recognized for their line of duty death. Randy Petico, my dad, as well as my good friend Ernie Dombrowski, were both recognized in that ceremony. There were 14 total firefighters' names that were recognized from across BC that were that had passed. It was a really beautiful service. There was firefighters from across BC that came and marched in the processional, and it was a beautiful day. The sun was shining, and the rain held off. Actually, it was snow that was at the time mixed. Anyways, it was a beautiful service, so I just wanted to share that half of our residents.
Yeah, thank you very much, and I'm glad you could attend. I knew it meant missing a council meeting, and so we couldn't all go. I would like to have gone there too, and I'm glad you could go there to represent us and your family. Thank you. Anything else? Okay, so with that, move on to anything from Metro or Metro directors? No? Okay, so other business, and Councillor Richter has a motion.
Yeah, I just wanted to get a clarification from Mr. Back, and I see the clerk's note says that staff are currently reviewing LAS and enhancing the calculation process for these types of lots. So will there be a report coming to council on that?
That's correct, Your Worship, but the motion is complementary to the action staff are taking, so our purpose for the note was to let council know that the motion is in order with what we're already doing.
Oh, okay. So you're not saying to withdraw it, leave it go. Okay, well, in that case, I'll let the motion stand, and therefore be it resolved that council asks staff for a report on the feasibility of equalizing or averaging frontage fees for panhandle lots in local area servicing. I so move.
Thank you. I think Councillor Fox indicated seconding it, so any discussion on that? Seeing none, I'll call the question on M1. Carries unanimously. Is there any other business?
Termination.
Oh, you're too late, Councillor Davis. Councillor Fox moves termination. Councillor Davis seconds termination. All those in favour? Opposed and carried. Meeting is now terminated. We'll now move on in just a couple of minutes to the public hearing.